Hey, fifth graders, we're going to take a look at dividing mixed numbers and fractions. So the good news is not too much changes. So when we divided fractions by fractions, we were able to turn it into a multiplication problem by multiplying by the reciprocal. Now remember, when you think reciprocal, you can think refliprical, but of course we always say reciprocal, which is the proper term. So recall, when dividing by a fraction, we're trying to figure out how many times the fraction fits into the dividends. So for instance, if we had 2.5 divided by a quarter, we'd be asking ourselves how many quarters fit into 2.5, okay? So we are figuring out how many times 1/4 fits into 2.5. So we are gonna go ahead and model this to figure it out. So we have two whole things. We need to, let's go ahead and cut them into halves so that we have 2.5. So there's one whole thing split in half, here's two whole things split in half, and here's that last part. So I'm gonna shade that in because that's what we're starting with. So we always model the first thing. So we have 2.5 things right here. Okay, so now we need to figure out, well, how many quarters, how many little slivers of a quarter can I fit into 2.5? Well, let's start putting in some quarters here. So if I cut my halves in half, I'm creating quarters. So I have 1/4 here, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 fit into one whole thing. 5, 6, 7, 8/4 fit into two whole things. And now in this last half, let's see, we have 9, 10/4 fit into 2.5. So 1/4 fits into 2.5 10 times, so therefore the quotient is 10. So that's what's truly happening when we are dividing mixed numbers by a fraction. I want you to have a good idea of what's actually happening. Again, we're taking this smaller dividend in this case, divisor, and we're seeing how many times it fits into the dividend. But of course, we always have our shortcut for dividing fractions that we can keep, change, flip. Now, what does that mean? Because that kind of sounds like, I don't know, a gymnastics move. And trust me, I am not qualified to teach gymnastics. I don't even know how to do a cartwheel. So this is definitely not, gymnastics. What this means is we keep the dividends the same, which is the first number. Keep the dividends the same. Change the operation from division to multiplication. So that's the change part. We change it to multiplication and we flip the divisor to its reciprocal. Now remember, the reciprocal, you can think refliprical, okay? Because really what you're doing is if it's a proper fraction, you just flip it and that's its reciprocal. You turn the numerator and denominator, you switch them. But we are going to run into a little bit of an issue that when we are finding the reciprocal of mixed numbers, the first thing you have to do, and this is similar to when we were multiplying our fractions, the first thing we've got to do with our mixed numbers is we have to turn the mixed number into an improper fraction first, and then you can flip the improper fraction. So for instance, let's say I had 4 1/3. The reciprocal of this, you have to turn it into an improper fraction first. So that would be 13/3, and then you can flip. So it's reciprocal, I'm just gonna write recip, would equal 3/13. A big mistake I have seen, and this is not right, this is a mistake. A big mistake I've seen is kids say, oh, it's 4 and 3/1. Well, 4 and 3/1, that's actually 7. That's 4 whole things and 3 whole things, which is 7. Could 7 times 4 1/3 ever give you a product of 1? Because remember, that's what reciprocals are. When you multiply reciprocals together, you have to get a product of 1. If you multiply 7 whole things by 4 1/3, you're creating 7 sets of 4 1/3. That's definitely not going to be 1. So this is not correct. That is your cow mistake because it's utterly wrong. Do not just flip the fraction part. I've seen it so many times. Turn it into an improper fraction first, then take the reciprocal. And let's check, let's see. 13 thirds times 3/13. If we did multiply those two together, we would actually get 39 over 39, which is equal to 1, which makes us happy. That is the definition of reciprocals. Also, remember, when you're multiplying with mixed numbers, this got quite a few of you on your unit test for multiplying mixed numbers. When you multiply with mixed numbers, you must quote unquote clear the skies first. So get those whole numbers out of there by turning them into, yet again, improper fractions before you multiply straight across. This is like so super duper important that you turn your mixed numbers into improper fractions first. All right, let's do some more examples to solidify this. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn my mixed number into an improper fraction. It's the first thing I'm gonna do. So that's gonna be 13 quarters divided by 2/3. The next step is now I will keep, change, flip, and I'm gonna create my column so I stay nice, neat, and organized, KCF. Keep this first number the same, so this stays 13 quarters. Change the operation to multiplication and flip the second number, which is the divisor, times 3/2. And now you multiply straight across. You see how the skies are cleared. I don't have any whole numbers out in front. So let's go ahead and multiply straight across. We get 39/8. 8 goes into 39 4 whole times. 4 whole times with 7 left over. So your final answer would be 4 7/8. Okay, let's do another one together. This is where it gets a little tricky when your improper fraction, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. When your mixed number is the divisor, this is where I see that mistake with the flip. So the first thing I want you to do is clear the sky. So this is gonna be 2/3 divided by, turn it into an improper fraction first. That's going to be, yet again, 13 quarters, because 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. And now we can KCF, now we can keep, change, flip, keep the first number the same, so that 2/3 stays the same. Change the operation of multiplication, flip this fraction, 4/13. And now we can multiply straight across because we don't have any whole numbers in our way. Then we get 8/39. This is a proper fraction, so we cannot turn it into a mixed number. Let's see if we can simplify it. Can I divide 8 and 39 by a common number? No, I cannot. So this is my final answer. Let's do a couple more examples, and then I want you to try the bottom on your own and check the answer key on the website. All right, so first step, I always want you to turn your mixed number into an improper. That's always gonna be your first step. So 3/4 divided by, let's see, 5 9/5. And now you can keep, change, flip. Once you've cleared the skies, this is 3/4 times 5 9ths. I flipped that fraction right there. And you can keep your, draw your columns to keep you nice, neat, and organized. All right, let's see. I can actually cross simplify here. 3 and 9 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now I can multiply 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. I cannot divide those by a common number, so I am actually done. All right, and let's do this last example together. First step, I always want you to turn your mixed number into an improper fraction. So that's 7/3 divided by 1/3. Then you can KCF. Then you can multiply by the reciprocal. So that's 7/3 times 3/1. You can draw your columns to stay nice, neat, and organized. I think I can cross simplify here. I've got a 3 here and a 3 here. I can divide those both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. This is simply 7/1, which is 7 whole things, and you're done. So go ahead and try these on your own. Remember, your first step is always to turn your mixed number into an improper fraction first, and then you KCF. So your first step is turn improper. Step 2 is then you keep, change, flip. And then step 3 is solve. So go ahead, do those last 4 problems on your own, complete the homework, check all of the answer keys on the website.